Welcome to the Lead at the Top of Your Game podcast, where we equipped you to more effectively lead your seat at any employer, business, or industry in which you choose to play. Each week, we help you sharpen your leadership acumen by cracking open the playbooks of dynamic leaders who are doing big things in their professional endeavors. And now your host, leadership tactics and organizational development expert, Karen Farrell Rhodes.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone, and thanks for joining another episode designed to help you better lead at the top of your game. Now, as you know, for Season 3, each month we're featuring leaders who have fascinating roles in a particular profession or industry. And today's episode is part of our special series featuring Chief Technology Officers and VP level leaders who lead expansive technology teams. And now, enjoy the show. Hello, my superstars. This is Karen, and welcome to another episode of the Lead at the Top of Your Game podcast. We are super thrilled to have on today's show Nate Barrett, who is the Senior Vice President of Product at Skillable. And I know you probably heard of Skillable. They're very famous, but they're a company who is one of the premier developers of training management application software, which is intended to empower organizations to accelerate technology learning through hands-on experience and skill validation. Now, Nate has a huge executive role at Skillable, and he manages the product management, design, and data teams. He brings a wealth of product leadership experience to Skillable, having led products at companies such as Pluralsight, Canopy, and Instructure. I always want to call it infrastructure. It's Instructure. So welcome to the podcast, Nate.
Thank you. It's so nice to join you, Karen.
Oh, we are just so honored to have you. And we are thrilled because, as you know, you're part of our special feature featuring technology executives and delving into some of the leadership challenges and things that you're having to face both now and as you think into the future. But before we delve into all of that and the great things that Skillable is doing, we'd love to learn a little bit about you. So for as much as you feel comfortable, would you mind giving us a sneak peek into your life outside of work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am married and I have 4 children. So my children, 2 of them are adult. One just actually graduated from University of Utah and is headed to London for a fine arts degree. And
Exciting.
So they're a lot of my hobby, but I love to be outdoors. I love to travel and I love great food.
Okay, we're sisters and brothers from other mothers. I love to do the same thing. And it sounds like you have an absolutely wonderful family. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well, let's dive in. So I would love to have us start out by, can you give us the Cliff Notes version? And that tells you my age when I say Cliff Notes, but the Cliff Notes version of your journey starting out in the tech field to where you've risen now as recently joining Skillable.
Yeah, my whole career has been really product management in technology and in a lot of various technologies, from internet service providers, which also ages me as well, ISP and web page hosting, to telephony services, to internet security, to family history and genealogy, to tax accounting, and really where I've ended up kind of finding a home in what we call ed tech, in really advancing education in the technology space.
And so can you tell us a little bit more about your actual role at Skillable? What are you responsible for leading?
Yeah, so at Skillable, my role really is helping guide the vision and strategy of where the product should go. And like many product leaders, it's really understanding the market. It's understanding our customers. And really the thing that I love about product management is understanding people's pain points and problems and being able to find creative solutions that are going to help solve those problems in a elegant way. And that's made up of as you mentioned, product managers, product designers, and data. And we combine all of those things together, working with our partners in engineering to to develop the product and put it out to market and get hopefully great feedback, but also learn from people's feedback of what's working and not working and trying to improve it on a daily basis.
Oh, that's amazing. What is your primary target market? Are you mostly an enterprise level solution, or do you have offerings for different segments of the market?
Yeah, primarily enterprise. We do have some specific channels that we're targeting. So one that I'd call out, for example, that is a customer is Skillsoft. So Skillsoft is, an aggregator of a lot of learning, and
Yes.
so some of these skills and learning aggregators, but also enterprise. Sometimes we refer to it as enterprise internal, meaning enterprises that are trying to train and educate the employees within their organization, and then enterprise external, where organizations are trying to educate outside of their organization on the software and products that they use. So any way that people are trying to educate in particularly technology and or software based skills is our sweet spot.
Wonderful. So, the question's coming, Nate. How has Gen AI and other technologies really impacted the way you strategize and think about your products and solutions?
Yeah, it is. I knew it was coming. It's at the heart of everything really in technology today.
Yeah, it is.
In fact, I was just last week in Seattle at Microsoft Build, and every talk, every presentation mentioned AI, with Microsoft specifically Copilot. But, if I had a blackout bingo card for every time they mentioned AI, I certainly would have won. And so it very much a part of everything that people are doing in technology. And that really hits home for us at Skillable, because at the end of the day, we're all about educating and helping people build skills and validate skills in different areas. And this really is a new skill set.
Yeah.
Prompt engineering to Gen AI to large language learning models and everything that's going on with AI is impacting us both in the fact of our customers are wanting to educate people and how to use it within their organization, as we mentioned, internally or
Mhm.
externally, of what are they doing to educate their customers on what they're doing to make AI a component or a part of what they're doing. And then we have to look at it also from a product standpoint of what are we doing within Skillable to leverage AI. And we've already implemented some interesting things even in our own products, where we're using AI to do what we call instruction translations. So on the instruction sets of how to do certain things, we're using AI, and really even we have what we call templates to help get people started in authoring different content. And one of the key focuses, or maybe what I'd call domain areas, is AI. So it certainly is. I look at AI and say it's probably the biggest thing to happen in technology since maybe the iPhone, or kind of,
Yeah.
touchscreen type enablement, and then maybe even back to the internet itself. I think it really is changing the landscape of technology.
It truly is. And I so agree. But this is the technology in its infancy has been around for quite some time. It's just now been brought into the consciousness of the mainstream a lot more from my experience. Because my listeners know it was at the Microsoft a long time before I started the firm. And we were talking about it. Here I am telling my age, but 15 years ago, maybe, of the baby, it's starting
Hmm.
out. But even I can imagine how quickly it got into the mainstream. And now it's, everybody's trying to, like you said, understand it and then see how that is going to impact their own businesses or the way they work. So, how do you and your team keep up with the latest and greatest? And at the enterprise level, those type of customers demand a lot of customizations for what they
Hmm.
are trying to implement. So, as a tech leader or executives, how do you think about balancing keeping up with the technology and the knowledge of what is possible, and then coaching and counseling your clients on how to move forward, whether it's in baby steps or one big push? How do you think about leading that effort?
Yeah, I love that question. And really, I think it's at the heart of product management to me is, we often say we should be solving problems and be focused on what is the problem that we're trying to solve, and not necessarily that we have solutions that are looking for problems. And so I think that oftentimes we have to look at AI as it is a solution to problems, but does it necessarily need to be the solution? And should we be trying to solve, are we are looking at it
Yes.
from we have to have AI just because everyone's doing it?
No.
Or should we be looking at it like what problems do we have within our organization, or whatever it is that we're trying to do that it may be able to solve better, faster, more efficiently? And so that would be my biggest thing is really trying to align what are the problems that we're trying to solve rather than trying to find a problem that AI can solve. Let's look at things. And, for example, back to your previous question, I think just going back to, well, what are some creative ways? So the first thing that we did with Skillable with these was the AI translations. Well, that's a very simple problem that is kind of like almost commoditized today to be able to put something into a Google Translate or something like. And so it's a very fast way to automate this problem. But I think there's a lot of fear in people as well. There's always this fear of change. And so I think we also have to look at it from a standpoint of not being afraid of it, but trying to see how it might benefit, but through problem solving.
That's true. And people, and here's my HR background coming out and psychology background, and people have different readiness for change, as you know.
Yes.
So you have to kind of think through helping those at every stage of change, from your early adopters to your laggards and everybody in between. So helping bringing everybody along the way is going to be very important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very much a little bit of this, a fixed mindset, growth mindset type thing of you will have people that have a fixed mindset of we're happy to do it. This is going to take our jobs. It's a problem. What's going to happen with my data? And we can fear the technology, or we can have a more of a growth mindset of what is the art of the possible? What can we actually achieve with it? And how can we innovate? But I think it's striking that balance of not doing it just to do it, but let's do it because it's actually making meaningful changes in our world, and again solving specific problems.
Absolutely. So now, what are you excited about at Skillable right now? What are your teams really excited and working on, or that you can tell, because some of them might be super
Yeah.
secret? But what's going on good at Skillable right now?
Well, I think that what's going really well is Skillable has an incredible technology that really fuels the way we do hands-on learning. And that's at the core of what we do is people learn best by doing. And that's just a fact. And so this idea of being able to learn technology or different tech skills by doing is such an incredible thing that Skillable's been able to really bring forth. So, just to give a quick summary of some of these things. So, if you may be learning a new technology, it could be in software development. We allow you to practice in a programming environment in an IDE and code along with someone, or you may be learning a cloud technology, or you might be learning data science. We put you in that actual environment in real world. It's not a simulation. It's a real world environment, whether it's putting you into AWS console and learning the services in AWS or whatever that is. And so the ability to actually learn by doing is really, really powerful. And so
Exactly.
we've had that capability at Skillable, which is a really hard problem to solve. And what I love about what we're doing now at Skillable is we're really trying to simplify the way that people are able to build this content, and so that they can actually create more content that they can educate, because technology is changing so quickly
Yeah.
that to be able to create these what we call labs or these sandboxes for people to learn in, that technology can change so rapidly that we need to make it very, very easy to be able to modify the learning, et cetera. So a lot of our focus is simplifying that to make it very, very easy to create this content. But I think more importantly to the organizations and to individuals is we're really focused on skilling and thus skillable. But we're really focused on this concept of how do we get people to skill up, because skills are really the future.
They are.
I think that we would all agree that the traditional routes of education are changing, especially in technology. And so people are interested in not necessarily the degree you have, but what are the actual skills, tangible skills that you have that you can come in and from day one do. And so our focus is in what we call skill validation. So imagine the ability to be learning something. And so we have what we call guided labs, and then to move into a more what we'd call a validated lab, where we're actually giving you problems to solve, and we can validate that you're actually doing those things. So think about it as an assessment by doing rather than assessment through multiple choice. But if you're learning something and you really want to prove that someone can code in a specific language or do whatever that technical task is, we can give you basically that validated proof that someone can do that thing. And that's the
That's
magic
huge
of
for companies. For them to have
huge,
that
right?
peace in mind to know that, Karen Rhodes is truly skilled and can do that based on the evaluations of me physically doing it. That is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. Now, do you all help companies create the content, or you just provide the platform for them to do it themselves?
Yes, yes, and yes. So we are the platform. We are the platform for creating the content. And we have over 2,000 labs that we have created in various technical domains that we can sell as a catalog. But really our focus is allowing our customers to create their own content, or we can help them. So it's either we have pre-made catalog of content, we have the tools for you to create your own content, or we also have professional services where we can help build custom content for you. But really, I think the beauty of the Skillable platform is really going from generic content to customized content. So again, back to this theme of skills is, what if you wanted to, someone might be learning Python, but what if they wanted to know how to learn it to use Python at company X, because company X has this type of architecture and this type of skill set in Python that is very applicable to this company, that is not just generic. And so if you can build these labs in a custom format that actually meets the needs of your organization, imagine how quickly people are going to be creating value in your organization, because they don't have that onboarding time is just so much faster. And that's technical skills, but it could be learning other software or anything else, because you're building that custom to the skills that are needed in your organization.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious about like your current role, because you have a lot on your plate. You oversee quite a bit, Nate, in the technology realm at Skillable. So I'm just curious, as a senior leader, how you approach leading your team. You're so gracious to share that you do focus on ensuring everybody's aligned, that there's accountability and autonomy a bit. But I'd love to hear from you, your philosophy in leading in your role.
Yeah, well, you nailed it. I call that the 3 A's, and really that is at the heart of what I believe in leading. When I think about alignment, I think about creating a clear vision. It's the destination. It's helping everyone to know, okay, this is where we're going. This is the end result that we're looking for. And sometimes I say this is what great looks like, or this is what the end result is that we're trying to achieve. And so creating that shared vision is so key to both people aligning so that they're going in the same direction, but it's also important that they become excited and passionate about that vision, because people are so much more effective when they're excited and they're bought into this vision. And so to me, that is so much about alignment. It's about transparency. It's about really great communication. And it works both ways, right? It's leading by communicating to those that I lead, but also to my team members communicating in return. And I think that really leads into the accountability is if you know what is expected of you and that's been communicated and you know what the vision is, you know what the strategy is, then you can be accountable to the certain outcomes that you've been hired to drive. And that gives you, again, these guideposts along the way of this vision of I'm accountable to reach this type of outcome. And if you're not doing it, then we can have, conversations of, well, help me understand the context of why it's not working. Or do you not have the right tools? Do you not have the right information? Whatever that is. And that ultimately leads to that autonomy, because no one wants to work in an environment where they feel like someone is looking over their shoulder.
Oh, no.
But they also don't want to work in an environment where they're told how to do their jobs. If I can create a vision that people are aligned to, if I can create the outcomes that we're trying to drive, however they do their job to drive those outcomes and achieve that vision really should be up to them. And that's where I think innovation actually starts to also come into play, is there's not one way to do things. And that's where I think leadership becomes so interesting, is to really identify different skill sets and talents and traits in people that can bring. I often reference a children's book called Stone Soup, of this concept of the community of people bringing these different ingredients and all contributing to the greater outcome that can come from this. And I think all of those really come from those 3 A's.
And you know what I love about your 3 A's, your alignment, accountability, and autonomy? When they all work together, in my experience, when they all work together, it gives permission for your team to, like you said, innovate and bring new ideas to the table, find ways for continuous process and improvements. And it just opens up a new world of what's possible when those are in place. And when they're not in place, they can be the biggest derailers of a high
Yes.
functioning team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it is what I would say is psychological safety. Is how do we create this environment where people feel safe to come to work and do their best work?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's all rainbows and unicorns. I think one lesson that I learned very early in kind of my time starting to lead is this concept of feedback is so important,
Yeah.
of finding the right opportunities to give people you lead feedback. And it's important that people are receiving praise for the good things that are happening. And I probably heard this term, praise in public and criticize in private.
Yes.
And this is so important, to find opportunities to give people feedback, to know where they stand. And again, that's alignment, is giving that feedback of, this is what you're doing well, and this is where I need to see improvement, or the outcomes aren't being met, or whatever that is. And so those small course corrections along that journey, again, is so key, so that people aren't deviating too far off course.
Right.
And so I believe strongly in a regular one-on-one, to be able to be syncing up with people and, just checking in. How are you doing on a personal level? Because we never have the context of how people's lives are impacting their work. But then how are we doing at work, and getting that context as well.
I love that. I love that. Well, one of the questions we love to ask our guest, Nate, is, as you know, we at SDL did significant research on some of the best practices of the world's high performing leaders. And we came up with the top 7. There were hundreds, but the top 7 that were applicable no matter your profession, job, or industry, and wrote about our findings in the book. But you were so kind to share that leading with courageous agility really popped with you. And for my new listeners out there, leading with courageous agility is all about having the courage or the fortitude to take calculated risk and to stand up for what you believe in and what you think, and do the right thing, even when the future or consequences are unclear. It's all about, taking the best information you can, having the courage to step forward and propose it, and making baby steps forward instead of just not doing anything. So curious minds want to know, Nate, why did courageous agility really pop for you?
Yeah, I think it pops because, well, I want to break those two words apart: courage and agility. And courage pops for me because courage is taking risks. It's acting when there is a level of uncertainty. It's standing up for, like you say, of doing maybe what is unpopular and going against the flow. And that is a hard thing to do. It
It
is
is.
a really hard thing to do. But that's where, again, I'll come back to this. The three A's is, if you can create a psychologically safe place for people to thrive, that courage becomes easier and easier to push back, to ask questions,
Absolutely.
to maybe question the status quo. And then agility, I think I love, because in software development, this concept of agility is so key
Right.
in developing product. It's all about making small incremental steps and learning all along the way. And so it's these small little pivots all along the way. And so that combination of things really speaks to me of having the courage to do what you think is right. And for in product management, that is, we sit at the intersection of so many parts of the business. We're working so closely with our partners in sales and customer success in B2B businesses, and with finance and legal and engineering and all these different people. And everyone has certain needs and demands on the product, whether they're regulatory or governmental issues or closing this deal or whatever that is. And that, it takes courage to say no. And a lot of product management successes is the art of saying no, and
Which is
being
very
able
tough.
to courageously stand up and say, I hear what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, and truly understanding and taking the time to understand, but
Yes.
also to have the courage to say, but this was the vision, this was our strategy, and we have to hold true to this. But then that agility is learning incrementally all along the way. And so, yeah, I just think breaking that down, it makes so much logical sense. But I also think that, touching a little bit on some of the things that we talked about earlier, is it's not having a scarcity mindset. It's really
Right.
having a growth
Abundance mindset.
mindset of what is possible
Yeah.
and being able to take risks. And that is at the core of leadership, is being vulnerable enough to say, I made a mistake, or I failed, but it's also important to say, but this is what I learned, and
Absolutely.
this is how we're going to address this issue, or how we're going to win the next time around.
Absolutely. I'm just doing a virtual high five to you on that. Everything you said was just absolutely golden. Well, Nate, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. But before I let you go, we're going to have all the information about you and Skillable and the great things you all are doing in our show notes. But if you wouldn't mind just giving voice to where people can find you or the company in case they want to learn more, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, we're at skillable.com, and reach out connect to us on our website. You can request a demo there, and would be more than happy to help your organization really understand what we're doing to help people validate skills and really kind of move this skilling motion forward in a hands-on way. And so we're at a lot of different trade shows, and really providing the hands-on labs there. As I mentioned just last week at Microsoft Build, we're providing all the hands-on labs there. And so, yeah,
And what about the one in the
skillable.com.
future, Ignite?
Yeah, Microsoft Ignite. We're actually going to be sponsoring Microsoft Ignite in November. And so we'll be there again. And so, yeah, reach out to us. We would love to talk to you about how you can educate within your organization or outside your organization in technology, and doing it in a hands-on fashion.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks again, Nate, for the gift of your time and all of the insight and knowledge and perspective that you brought to the podcast today. You have been an absolutely tremendous guest.
It's been my pleasure. It's so nice to finally meet you. I've watched a couple of the previous podcasts and just love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you. Thank you. And thank you to listeners for the gift of your time, because we know there's a lot of podcasts that you could be listening to. We don't take your listenership lightly, and we really appreciate your support. For my new listeners, please make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. And please share with just one friend, because by working together, we'll all be able to lead at the top of our game. Thank you so much, and see you next week. And that's our show for today. Thank you for listening to the Lead at the Top of Your Game podcast, where we help you lead your seat at any employer, business, or industry in which you choose to play. You can check out the show notes, additional episodes, bonus resources, and also submit guest recommendations on our website at leadyourgamepodcast.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn by searching for the name Karen Rhodes, with Karen being spelled Karan. And if you like the show, the greatest gift you can give would be to subscribe and leave a rating on your podcast platform of choice. This podcast has been a production of Shockingly Different Leadership, a global consultancy which helps organizations execute their people, talent development, and organizational effectiveness initiatives on an on-demand project or contract basis. Huge thanks to our production and editing team for a job well done. Goodbye for now.